Wreck-It Ralph here. Whoa! I did not expect my video to get over 3,000 views. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching that. Linus has responded. Unfortunately, it's written and I have to read it. I'm pretty much going to be reading this verbatim. This was posted 16 hours ago. Unfortunately, I was asleep. There won't be a big WAN show segment about this or anything. Most of what I have to say I've already said, and I've done so privately. To Steve, I expressed my disappointment that he didn't go through proper journalistic practices in creating this piece. He has my email and number along with numerous other members of our team and could have asked me for context that may have proven to be valuable, like the fact that we didn't sell the monoblock but rather auctioned it for charity due to a miscommunication. I can't roll my eyes hard enough. Please understand that auctioning is a form of selling, and just because it was for charity doesn't mean it's right. And yes, he's saying he's going to pay whatever Billet Labs says is the value of their prototype. But there's a miscommunication here somewhere, and it's not the one he's talking about. And the fact that while we haven't sent payment yet, we've already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype. Great. There are other issues, but I've told him that I won't be drawn to a public sniping match over this and that I'll be continuing to move forward in good faith as part of team media. When and if he's ready to do so again, I'll be ready. To my team and my CEO's team, but realistically, I was the helm for most of these errors, all of these errors. So I need to own it. I stress the importance of diligence in our work because there are so many eyes on us and we're going through some growing pains. We've been very public about them in the interest of transparency, and it's clear that we have some work to do on internal processes and communication. You think? We have already been doing a lot of work internally to clean up our processes, but these things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's no excuse for sloppiness. Now, for my community, all I can say is the same thing I always say. We know that we're not perfect. We wear our imperfection on our sleeves in the interest of ensuring that we stay accountable to you, but it's sad and unfortunate when this transparency gets warped into a bad thing. The labs team is hard at work creating processes and tools to generate data that will be beneficial to all consumers. A work in progress is very much not done that we've communicated needs to be treated as such. Do we have notes under some videos? Yes. Is it because we're striving for transparency and improvement? Yeah. That's what we're doing hasn't been in many years, if ever. And we would make a much larger correction if the circumstances merited it. Listing the wrong amount of cash on a table for a CPU review is sloppy, but given that our conclusions are drawn based on our testing, not my spec sheet, it doesn't matter. It doesn't materially change the recommendation. That doesn't mean that these things don't matter. We've set KPIs for our writing labs team around accuracy and the continually installing new checks and balances to ensure that things continue to get better. If you haven't seen the improvement, frankly, I wonder if you're really looking for it. The thoroughness that we managed in our last handful of GPU videos is getting really incredible. I kind of disagree. I think in some ways it's went downhill. And I'm looking for it. Like I watch all these videos. I'm a computer science major, right? I'm an old man who had to go back to college to learn something new. So I'm looking for inaccuracies and updates on those inaccuracies. Given the limited time that we have for these embargoes, I'm really excited about what the future will hold. With all that said, I still disagree that Billet Labs video, not the situation with the return, which I've already addressed above, is an accuracy issue. It's more like I just read the room wrong. We could have retested it with perfect accuracy, but to do so properly, accounting for which cases it could be installed in, none, and which radiators it would be plumbed with, again, mystery, would have been impossible and also didn't affect the conclusion of the video, or so I thought. Now here's something about that. It's not an accuracy issue is what he's saying. It's not an accuracy issue. It's more like he read the room wrong. It is an accuracy issue when you use the improper GPU for what they're saying it should mount to. They said a 3090 Ti, and you guys grabbed a 4090. That's inaccurate. Steve already pointed this out. I don't need to go into it. I wanted to evaluate it as a product, and as a product, if it could manage to compete with the temperature of the highest end blocks on the planet, it still wouldn't make any sense to buy. So from my point of view, retesting it and finding out that yes, it did in fact run cooler made no difference to the conclusion, so it didn't really make a difference. Okay, but inaccurate. So saying it's not an accuracy issue is bullshit too. Sorry. I get what he's saying. He doesn't think that it would properly fit in a case because of how large it is. It sticks out, but maybe on 3090 Ti, I'm not the one that got sent the product, so I don't know. And I'm not the one that made the product. So I can't really pass judgment on here. I can pass judgment on what ended up happening with the product, the prototype of this company that asked for it back. What does the bastion of the internet, known as Reddit, have to say about Linus's response? So, Linus Sebastian's response to Billet Labs games, as posted by user Matician, iMac Matician, in the hardware forum. He's just posting it for everybody. M9 Point says, agreeing to compensate for damages by selling IP in a prototype you don't have the permission to sell doesn't absolve you of wrongdoing. Saying it's for charity doesn't suddenly mean you somehow keep your agreement. What a terrible response top to bottom. Also, imagine being mad at Gamers Nexus for not communicating about the video, but themselves not communicating to Billet Labs the entire time they produced that bogus review. Hypocrisy and lack of self-awareness through the roof in this one. Foxy Mountain says Linus was not okay with their own prototype LTT bag ending up in the thrift store, but auctioning off other people's prototype after they request to get it back is okay.
Yes, I sincerely hope so. Someone showed up at LTX with a prototype WAN-themed backpack.
Wait a second.
We scrapped or iced that project, or like it was an early prototype bag that had like problems with it, and someone internally, like, I'll take it. They didn't sell it, which is good. Okay. We asked the person where they got it. They got it at like Valley Village, so it was donated. But we had to have a serious conversation in Monday morning meeting that kind of went, hey.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't donate those types of things.
For prototype stuff, like.
We didn't sell it.
Yes, it should have made its way back here, because it's not that we don't want people using stuff that would otherwise be wasted. It's just that.
Bring back the prototype, get it back to where it came from.
That's not final goods. It's not representative of the proper product quality. Which.
Who says these kind of things? Not Linus. Apparently he did. He did about his own prototypes. He says it's because it's not representative of final quality. But still, like, neither was that block. Adam and I were talking about this today. He advocated for retesting it regardless of how non-viable it was as a product at the time. And I think he expressed really well today why it mattered. It was like making a video about a supercar. It doesn't matter if nobody watching will buy it. They just want to see it rip. I missed that. But it wasn't because I didn't care about the consumer. It was because I was so focused on how the product impacted a potential buyer. Either way, clearly my bad. But my intention was never to harm Billet Labs. I specifically called out their incredible machining skills because I wanted to see them create something with a viable market for it, and was hoping others would appreciate the fineness of the craftsmanship, the fineness of the craftsmanship, even if the product wasn't practical. I still hope they move forward building something else because they obviously have talent, and I've watched countless niche water cooling vendors come and go. It's an astonishingly unforgiving market. Either way, I'm sorry I got the community's priorities mixed up on this one, and that we didn't show the billet in the best light. And that we didn't show the billet in the best light, yeah. Our intention wasn't to hurt anyone. We wanted no one to buy it. Because it's egregious waste of money no matter what tips it runs at. And we wanted Billet to make something marketable so they can, eat. With all this in mind, it saddens me how quickly the pitchforks were raised over this. It also comes across as a touch hypocritical when some basic due diligence would have helped clarify much of it. I have a long history of meeting issues head on, and I've never been afraid to answer questions, which lands me in hot water regularly. But it keeps me in tune with my peers and with the community. Are you, though? I don't know. I'm not in this community. I watch it from afar, like a pervert, and just see what's going on. I don't usually comment on it, but I had to. Like, these are two of my favorite people. Like, I love LMG for all the comedy stuff that they have in their videos. And they're, like, upgrade videos where he goes into people's houses and just wreaks havoc. The only reason I can think of not to ask me is because my honest response might be inconvenient. We can test that with this post. Will that it was a mistake, a bad one, but a mistake, and they're taking care of it, reality managed to have the same reach. Let's see if anybody actually wants to know what happened. I hope so. It's been disheartening to see how many people were willing to jump on us here. Believe it or not, I'm a real person, and so is the rest of my team. We're trying our best, and if what we were doing was easy, everyone would do it. True. Today sucks. True. Sorry, guy. Thanks for reading this. Sorry, bud guy. So I want to conclude this with my own thoughts, and these are my own thoughts, not, taking any kind of information from any of the videos that have been put out. LTT is for entertainment and will be for the foreseeable future. If they get labs up and running and they get technical staff going through and giving them practical data, empirical, correct data, then they can come back and say, hey, we're now a more technical, we are now a more data-driven company, and we want to show that. But for now, like I stated in the past video, they are entertainment purposes only. It's fun to watch some of their videos. Some of their videos are a little bit more cringy, but they're pretty fun to watch. Gamers Nexus Hardware Unboxed. They are very spot on, accurate to the biggest point. Gerard's Tech, as I mentioned before, for laptop reviews. Jay's 2 cents, if he's pretty much entertainment too, but he does have a lot of knowledge, and he spouts out a lot of, in my day, and I know this from experience stuff, but he does have a lot of knowledge to give out. Plus he does giveaways all the time. He's just a good dude. I like him. UFD Tech, I failed to mention them. Justine, failed to mention her. There's a lot of them that you guys pointed out in the comments that are Optimum Tech. Even DeBauer. There's a lot that I failed to mention in that last video. But if I would have put out the entire hour that I talked for, there were a lot more names in there. Like Dawood does tech stuff. Pure entertainment. Hilarious. I love that guy. For streaming setups and mics and cams, Epos Vox, bar none, best person to watch on here. You've Bitwit and Paul, both very comedic minded people, entertainment minded people. They know what they're doing when they're building a computer, though. Like I said in the last video, every single one of these people have something to add to research, right? One of them, even the more entertainment driven ones, might hit on something that you miss from going to Gamers Nexus or Hardware Unboxed. Usually those two are going to be the more thorough when it comes to desktop PC gaming products. So I'm not going to track that back at all. Those two, to me, in my opinion, are my go-tos when I want to know how something is going to perform. Maybe there's better people out there I haven't found, and I know there's some people I failed to mention, and I'm sorry. And it is how it is. I'm not a big YouTuber guy. I'm getting 3,000 views. Like, that's max, that they all have value. Every single one, including LTT. I think they all have value. But try to get as much from all sides as you can. It would be easier if the world worked like this anyway. Taken from every side, every view possible, and then make your own judgment call. But most of all, I love you all. Have a great fucking day. Mwah.